Hey, it's Manu with 22 Sound, your independent record store in Mandeville, Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans. This video is devoted to one of the big questions of humanity, and hopefully we can settle it today, maybe once and for all. The question is, which one is better? Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets? Yeah, obviously two of the most amazing metal albums of all time. If you ask me, the two best Metallica albums there will ever be. There's really no signs that there will ever be a better Metallica album at this point, judging by the last 30 years, but that's a different topic. These two albums are so amazing. I would say if there was a way to track somehow my most listened to albums over my whole lifetime in whatever format that was, I would say the top three would consist of Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Appetite for Destruction, the best rock album of all time. But I could never really decide which one is better. I love them both so much, but the cool thing about these two albums is they're almost kind of the same template. Basically, you can really compare them song by song, and those of you who are familiar with these albums, they will probably know right away what I mean with that, and if not, you will realize once we get into it. So we figured what we're gonna do is we actually do a head-to-head, track by track, and see who wins it. All right, let's start with the opening tracks. Fight Fire with Fire versus Battery. Well, both of those are absolutely amazing openers, just like openers should be. They set the tone. They both start with really cool, intricate acoustic intros that really show how far Metallica had come musically within a really short amount of time. Kill 'Em All was pretty straightforward, heavy, fast. It was all about that, but then they come around with Ride the Lightning and show that musically they evolved within a really short time span in a really drastic way. And I think that was a really nice showcase, those little acoustic intros that they had there. But also what they do is, it's one of the great things, dynamics, when you set those acoustic intros against the riffs that come after, they make those riffs even heavier, to make the impact even more, because both of those songs then turn into real thrash metal masterpieces. And so it's really hard to find one better than the other, because they're absolutely amazing, both of them. But one thing is about Fight Fire with Fire. Every time I listen to this intro, it kind of feel like I'm on a roller coaster. You know that feeling when you're going up on a roller coaster very slowly, but you know you're about to go down and it's about to get real fast, real dangerous? That's the kind of feeling I get as this intro is ending, and you hear the distortion of the guitars right before they get into that riff, and that is when it just starts and everything goes crazy. It is absolutely amazing, and that's why, because that feeling is so amazing, that's why I'm giving Fight Fire with Fire a slight edge. So it's 1-0 Ride the Lightning. Next up, the title tracks. Ride the Lightning, the song, versus Master of Puppets, the song. Well, both of them are absolute massive, epic, long songs filled with amazing riffs. I mean, James Hetfield in the 80s was really one of the best riff masters, riff creators ever. And both songs really just are such a great journey. They never get boring. They're not a second too long. But I would say here it's a little clearer for me. Master of Puppets is definitely for me the better song. Maybe one of the best metal songs of all time. It just really has all the ingredients that makes metal so great, that made Metallica during that time so great. It is pretty complex, but it still has a lot of the straightforward riffing. Melodies are like vocal parts that you can sing along to, that really work great live. It goes up and down. That is just the way they constructed that song. The riffs in there, other bands would kill for. it is very close to perfection. So I would say here, pretty decisive point for Master of Puppets. It's 1-1. Then tracks 3, For Whom the Bell Tolls versus The Thing That Should Not Be. Here we have both songs that are kind of the slower end of the spectrum. They never really get into the really fast thrashiness that Metallica was known for up until that time. So a little bit of a departure right there. But I would say For Whom the Bell Tolls just creates a certain atmosphere that is really amazing. And of course it has that amazing bass intro that really shows Cliff Burton was really the guy that musically was probably the most sophisticated in the band, and he really pushed Metallica to a higher level. And you can hear that on a lot of songs, but here I guess it's like one of the most obvious moments. The way he uses his bass here is very unusual. It's not really what you hear normally, but he basically turns the bass into the lead instrument in this moment, and it just sets the tone for a really amazing song. The Thing That Should Not Be, on the other hand, well, has never been one of my favorite songs. I gotta admit, it's by no means a bad song, but it just never really stuck to me that much. I always thought it was a little bit of the low point of Master of Puppets. So here, pretty decisive win for Ride the Lightning. 2-1 Ride the Lightning. Then here come the ballads. Yeah, ballads. Fade to Black was actually a pretty brave thing to do for Metallica at the time. Really having a bona fide ballad on an album that was of course frowned upon in a scene where it was all about being heavy, being fast, going to new extremes. And even now, well, roughly 40 years later, it's kind of hard to fathom how heavy that must have been for people at the time. That was before death metal, before black metal, before all that. So having actually the courage to kind of slow things down, show some emotion, that was a pretty cool thing. And then it kind of showed what Metallica was all about. Even in later years, it didn't always work great for them, but I have to say I always respected them for kind of, going in a different direction than what people expected from them. They always did whatever they wanted to do, and well, it worked out really well for them. Not always artistically, but overall, hey, they're still filling stadiums all these years later, so they definitely did the right choices for themselves. But anyway, the actual songs, I think they're really, really close to being on par. I mean, these are two absolutely amazing songs. The way they're constructed, the way they slowly build and actually become pretty heavy, both of them, toward the end of the songs. But the way they build those songs, that really has like an emotional heaviness to it that is absolutely fantastic. I really have to say, on any given day, this could go either way, but I think I'm giving Fade to Black the slight edge. For one, because that was, I guess, the first time they showed that kind of emotion in a song. Secondly, I think it is maybe even a little more touching than Sanitarium, but man, it is close. But let's go along with it. 3-1, Ride the Lightning. Next up is our tracks, number 5, Trapped Under Ice versus Disposable Heroes. Those are two, like after the ballads, they come back and have like some really fast songs. There's a lot of fast, heavy riffing on either of those songs, but I think Disposable Heroes is the clear winner with this. I think actually that is one of the things that I think is a little bit better on Master of Puppets overall is the lyrics, and I think Disposable Heroes is one of those a little underrated songs lyrically from James. I think the way he portrays that kind of desperate feeling of somebody on the front line is really amazing, and it is just a masterclass of riffing once again. Trapped Under Ice is a pretty cool song. For a lot of bands it would be a highlight, but I think here, especially when that little part where he goes, I was born for dying. I'm not good at singing. Anyway, it's just, that gets me every time. So Disposable Heroes, for me, clear winner here. Master Puppets getting there. It's 3-2 Ride the Lightning. We're going to Escape versus Leper Messiah. Here, I said it earlier, the thing that should not be, it's kind of, for me, the low point on Master Puppets. Escape might be a little bit the low point on Ride the Lightning, if you ask me. It's, again, not a bad song really, but just in comparison to the heights they reach on the rest of both albums, it is just not a song that, to be honest, look, I've listened to this song so many times, but really only because of the album context, because I just like to listen to albums from start to finish. And it is not a terrible song that I have to skip, but I don't really remember ever specifically putting Escape on because I wanted to listen to that specific song. On the other hand, Leper Messiah, man, for me, one of the most underrated Metallica songs, actually. I think it is an absolutely brilliant song. I love that main riff that the song starts with. It has a certain swagger to it. Swagger is not always the way I would describe Metallica, but it has it there. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to put in words, but I absolutely love the simplicity of that riff, but the way it hits is absolutely amazing. And again, lyrically, this is really pretty great. We know that James Hetfield, of course, has a, let's say, difficult relationship to religion, organized religion especially, and this is really criticism to organized religion, let's put it that way, but I think he does it in a really smart way. I love the lyrics on this song as well. I think Leper Messiah, the clear winner here against Escape. So it's 3-3. All right, so here we have to do one little thing a little different. Instead of comparing track 7 of each album, we're gonna put the instrumentals together. So that's a slight little deviation here, where on the Ride the Lightning they put the instrumental to the very end of the album. Didn't do that on Master Puppets. So let's go with Creeping Death versus Damage Incorporated. Both absolutely amazing thrash songs, but Damage Incorporated definitely a little more straightforward, to the point, aggressive song to finish off the album, while Creeping Death is a little bit more of an epic song that kind of goes up and down a little more, that varies the tempo more. I love that little die part, especially live. I mean, that is one of those parts, like it's simple, but it's so effective and it really hits you. But I would say normally maybe Creeping Death, the song that I might have listened to more, that I think is maybe a little bit a stronger song, but I think they serve different purposes. I absolutely love Damage Incorporated too. I think it's such a great way to aggressively finish the album. So look, I'm making up the rules here anyway, so I'm just gonna give both of them a point for different reasons. So it's 4-4. It all comes down to the instrumentals, and man, those are good. Not really the biggest fan of instrumentals, to be honest, in general. I like to have some sort of vocals in there. I mean, hey, dude, I even listen to a lot of death and black metal, so I mean, they don't have to be pretty, but usually like that. But if you can keep me entertained, if you can keep things interesting, then instrumentals can be really cool. And it's kind of thing where you have to, I guess, paint an atmosphere, paint a picture without words. That's an extra challenge, and they're doing that really well here on either of those songs. I think Orion is one of the songs that again shows Cliff Burton's influence really well, the way he just put them at a different level from that kind of just, hey, here we are faster and heavier than what came before us. He really put a musical sophistication in the band that shows throughout, but this is one of the great examples of it. But the Call of Cthulhu, I think, to me, maybe touches me even a little more deeply. I think it has like a kind of a horror feeling to it. I don't know, that might just be me, but I remember one time listening to that a long time ago. It was really cold and dark outside when that was still in Switzerland. It hasn't been cold and dark in a while around where I'm at right now, but anyway, listening to that on the headphones in really like kind of a dark alley where the wasn't anything else, and that was on full blast, and it really got me. It was like one of those moments where I was like, whoa, this just really has like a creepy, great atmosphere. I love how they did that. So I guess that's why I'm giving the Call of Cthulhu here a slight edge, which would mean it would be 5-4 Ride the Lightning to finish this off. Alright, what does that mean? Ride the Lightning is a better album than Master Puppets? To be honest with you, I'm still not really sure. Hey, I've been thinking about that for I don't know how long to myself. I know it doesn't really matter, but it is just fun to discuss. So I would be really curious to hear what you think. Like I said, with this score system that I came up with here, I would give Ride the Lightning a slight edge. But then I have to say, a lot of those points that Ride the Lightning made were really close calls. Like I said, 5-5 with Fire versus Battery, that could really go either way. Fade to Black versus Sanitarium, that could really go either way. Call of Cthulhu, Orion could really go either way. While I would say there were some pretty decisive wins for Master Puppets, the title tracks, Disposable Heroes, Leper Messiah. So this could have really gone either way. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, I think lyrically, I'm always first a music guy. It's first about the sonic experience for me before the lyrics, but I love it when the lyrics can add something to the experience. And I'm not saying Ride the Lightning lyrics are bad in any sense, but I think James really took a step forward on Master of Puppets. So if you wanted to give an overall point for the lyrics, that would definitely go to Master of Puppets, which would tie it up again. It is really difficult. What do y'all think? Ride the Lightning? Master Puppets? What's your favorite album? Put it in the comments. Would love to hear from y'all. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and of course, hey, get your records through us. We're music maniacs like you probably are too. So if you want to support our store, go to 22soundrecords.com. Thank you so much. See y'all soon.